Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Olumide Macaulay. The Vice President Shettima. The Vice President Shettima has called for a permanent seat for Nigeria at the UN Security Council as part of a wider process of institutional reform of the United Nations. Addressing the world leaders during the general debate of the 80th United Nations General Assembly, the Vice President also proposed radical reform to the global financial system, calling for new mechanisms to address the sovereign debt crisis plaguing developing nations. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lasisi, reports.
Negotiate truces.
It's the second day of general debate at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. One after the other, leaders rise to address those gathered, speaking with passion and great resolve.
Powerful are righteous.
Eventually, it's the turn of Nigeria.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Shettima.
Vice President Shettima, who is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, emphasized that the occasion of the Union's 80th anniversary calls for frank introspection. He proposes 4 key reforms needed by the Union. Key is the need for structural reform of the United Nations and a permanent seat on the UN Security Council for Nigeria.
Our case for permanent seat at the Security Council is a demand for fairness, for representation, and for reform that restores credibility to the very institution upon which the hope of multilateralism rests.
He states clearly Nigeria's position on the conflict in the Middle East.
We do not believe that the sanctity of human life should be trapped in the corridors of endless debate. That is why we say, without stuttering and without doubt, that a two-state solution remains the most dignified path to lasting peace for the people of Palestine. The people of Palestine are not collateral damage in a civilization searching for order. They are human beings, equal in worth, entitled to the same freedoms and dignities that the rest of us take for granted.
Radical reforms to the global financial system is also proposed.
I'm calling for new and binding mechanism to manage sovereign debt, a sort of international court of justice for money that will allow emerging economies to escape the economic straitjacket of primary production of unprocessed exports. It has been over 4 decades since the Lagos Plan of Action outlined a route away from debt and dependence that highlighted opportunities that today should still be explored for local added value for processing and manufacturing in everything from agriculture to solid minerals and petrochemicals.
He insists that countries producing strategic minerals must benefit fairly from those minerals in terms of investment, partnership, local processing, and jobs, and for the closing of the digital divide across the world. Ending, he says, for none of us is safe until all of us are safe.
The road ahead will not be easy, and we know there are no quick fixes to the trials that test the human spirit. I thank you.
Larry Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the former Chief of Staff to the President and Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gamari, calls for Nigeria to reassert its leadership role in global affairs. Speaking with Laolo Akonde on our current affairs program, Inside Sources, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, he recalled Nigeria's significant contributions to African liberation struggle, peacekeeping missions, and the fight against apartheid. He cautioned that Nigeria's absence from strong leadership in international diplomacy creates a vacuum, often forcing smaller African nations to shoulder responsibilities beyond their capacity.
We have to step up because I recall, and so sometimes you are not supposed to divulge private conversation with heads of states in the course of your duty. But I remember very well when I was dealing with Darfur, that the President Kagame had the largest troops was the largest troop contributor to our troops. And the force commander came from Rwanda. UNAMID.
But Nigeria, the Nigerians were also there, though.
Nigeria was there, but we used to be the largest. They overtook us.
Okay.
And then compensated by having a Nigerian myself as the overall head. And in the course, I have to visit him many times. And honestly, he sometimes calls me aside and said, look, Nigeria, you are forcing me to punch above my weight. I'm after all the president of Rwanda. Where is Nigeria? Because when Nigeria is absent, it then forces countries smaller who don't have the same weight, you know, as Nigeria. So clearly it's a responsibility. And Nigeria, successful Nigerian government have kind of undertook to play that leadership role in Africa. Without us, maybe Angola, MPLA would not have been admitted as a member of the Organization of African Unity. Without us, Western Sahara would not be a member today. Apartheid, we had 25 years of leadership of the Special Committee Against Apartheid. I was the last in a long line of ambassadors. And we made some sacrifice in all of this, you know. So that's the expectation of the rest of the continent, and that is the expectation of most Nigerians. They want to see their country, and I think in soccer illustrates it, but our people would like us to win, to be among the leaders, and to our voices to be heard, you know, and to champion the cause of reform of the United Nations with a permanent, at least, you know, 2 permanent seats for Africa, with all the rights and privileges of the Security Council. Now, and sometimes even the smaller African countries always like to hide behind or to say, you know, it's these Nigerians, you know, they are the one, they go back to say, don't mind them, but they are proud that at least we are the vanguard. That must never be allowed to fall.
You can watch Laolu Akonde's full interview with Professor Gambari and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, on Inside Sources on Friday at 11:30 a.m. And back in Nigeria, the Defense Headquarters says it's winning the war against insecurity in the country. The Chief of Operations at Defense Headquarters, Major General Emeka Onumajuru, gave the assurance when he conducted an operational assessment visit in Taraba State. He's also committing to bringing insurgency to a conclusive end.
The Chief of Operations at the Defense Headquarters, Major General Emeka Onumajuru, arrives at the 6th Brigade of the Nigeria Army in Taraba State for an operational assessment visit. The visit aims to evaluate the challenges facing troops and identify solutions to enhance operational efficiency and professionalism.
Your FOB commander, you must listen to your CO. What they ask you to do is...
Accompanied by the 6th Brigade Commander, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, the team visit the 20 Model Battalion, Sector 3A Forward Operating Base in Dakar, Bali local government area, where Major General Onumajuru expresses satisfaction with the troops' professionalism and donates a cow to boost their morale.
In terms of whether the military is winning the war or not, the military is definitely winning the war. We're winning the war, no doubt about that. But then winning the war doesn't mean there are no insecurity threats. No.
The tour continues to the 114 Rare Battalion, Subsector 3C, Operation Wild Stroke in Jimlari, Law Local Council, where the Army Chief assessed ongoing operations and welfare of troops. The visit ends with a courtesy call to Governor Agbu Kefas at the T.Y. Danjuma House in Jalingo.
The kind of challenges we face, they are quite asymmetric. Terrorism, banditry, and then when you have asymmetric situations, the best approach is a whole of society approach, and that is what it has demonstrated by making sure that the state is keyed in, by making sure that the ordinary citizens are keyed in.
While commending the troops for their dedication and sacrifices, Governor Kefas calls for the extension of military operations to border communities.
I want to request the Chief of Defense Staff to extend this operation. I'm sure that is why we are going around to carry out the assessment to see whether to reduce or to expand. To expand this operation to cover other states.
The Chief of Operations also inspected newly acquired gadgets, a cache of arms and ammunition recovered by troops of 6th Brigade, which he said reflects the combat readiness, commitment and zeal of troops to end insecurity in Taraba and Nigeria as a whole.
The Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Mr. Abia, believes Nigeria needs $23 billion to address the nation's electricity challenge. He gave the figure during a strategic roundtable with the Sokoto State government in Abuja. Meanwhile, the Deputy Governor of Sokoto State, Mr. Idris Gober, believes epileptic power supply in the country has hindered the drive for economic growth. Our correspondent, Delia Moyeni, reports.
It's the 16th edition of the Rural Electrification Agency's state-to-state engagement, which aims to foster collaboration between the federal and state governments to address the power sector challenges. This edition features a delegation from Sokoto State, and the Deputy Governor, Mr. Idris Gober, is leading the delegation. Highlighting the impact of electricity on economic growth, Mr. Gober says the state desperately needs energy access.
I must emphasize that we view this program not only as energy access initiative, but as powerful tools for development. Inclusive economic growth, interferes, persist and development, and rural transformation. Access to reliable electricity is a cornerstone for unlocking productivity, attracting investors or investment.
With a land mass of over 25,000 square kilometers and an average temperature of 101 degrees Fahrenheit, the state is suitable for solar power. The Managing Director of the REA, Mr. Abia, challenges the state government to put in place the needed measures to address the electricity challenge.
We have a lot of work to do in Sokoto, based on a number of things. One, Your Excellency, if you look into the Nigerian electrification program, out of the 200 mini-grids that we have deployed, I don't think we have deployed more than 3 or 4 in Sokoto. That is one. Two, the distributed access through renewable energy scale-up, the biggest publicly funded renewable energy project in the world. When we look at so far the number of sites that have been submitted, the number of sites that came from Sokoto are not more than 5.
Well, the REA says that Nigeria needs at least $23 billion to bridge the gap of electricity access challenges. And that's why it needs everyone on the table, from international development partners to state governments and even the private sector. Delia Moyeni, Channels Television News.
You're watching the news at 5. Coming up, in the health sector to tackle HIV/AIDS in the country, the federal government and the state government of Lagos worked together to launch the Antiretroviral Therapy Impact Survey in Lagos. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The Lagos State Government, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health through the National AIDS and STIs Control Program and international partners, have launched the Nigeria State-Level Antiretroviral Therapy Impact Survey in Lagos. The Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Ministry of Health, Dr. Olusegun Boye, says the community-based survey program seeks to estimate HIV treatment coverage and viral load suppression amongst adults and will commence October next month up until December 2025.
Top
officials of the Lagos State Ministry of Health, representatives of the Federal Ministry of Health, development partners, community leaders, security officers gather in Lagos for a town hall to prepare residents for the upcoming Nigeria state-level antiretroviral therapy impact survey set to kick off in Lagos.
The AIS survey is a major step in our response to HIV as we go towards achieving epidemic control.
The AIDS survey, which will cover 205 enumeration areas, 6,150 households, and approximately 11,397 participants across the 20 local government areas, seeks to estimate HIV treatment coverage and viral load suppression among adults between 15 and 64 years.
So when our study teams visit a house, the persons who would be part of the survey would be a usual household member who lives in the house and who slept in the house the night before they visit, and a visitor who slept in the household the night before the survey. Now, the second inclusion criteria is for minors, that is children who are aged between 15 to 17 years old. So these persons will be allowed to participate in the survey with parental or guardian permission and their assent.
And what we're going to do is to send in community mobilizers prior to when the data collectors will go out, so they understand the houses that they're going to come to. So if they don't come to your house, it's not because you're not important, it's just that we can't go to all the houses. Whatever information we'll find will be extrapolated for the whole of Lagos State.
Dr. Oladipupo Fisher, who is the coordinator, Lagos State AIDS Program, explains that the ART Impact Survey would rely heavily on grassroots participation to succeed.
Each of the enumeration areas will have a 30 household, and then that translates to about 6,150 households that will be enriched, that will be involved in this survey. The findings of the survey will help to inform programming and then the design of the intervention we're putting to ensure that the state align with the global target of eradication of new HIV infection by the year 2030.
The Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Dr. Olusegun Ogboye, emphasizes the importance of the exercise in strengthening evidence-based planning for HIV response and community acceptance to guarantee credible results.
I would like to also ask the field workers that have been recruited for this work to please take the task extremely seriously. The information that we draw from the results that you give us are going to be used for planning at the ministry and also at national level. And it's important that it's as accurate as possible.
All health agencies, including the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, U.S. Center for Disease Control, National Agency for the Control of AIDS in Nigeria, among others, have shown commitment to support Lagos State in achieving accurate data of those living with HIV and also meeting the 2030 goal of ending HIV and AIDS.
The Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, says his administration will continue to work with the European Union, the UNICEF, and international labor organizations to build a sustainable social protection system aimed at reducing the state's poverty rate and restoring the dignity of the human being. Speaking at the official formal launch of the EU-funded Supporting Sustainable Social Protection System project, he expressed delight that Abia State is one of 4 selected pilot states for the fully funded EU intervention project.
Your presence has not only given an important sheen to our colorful ceremony, it has sent an unambiguous message to the world that Abia is seriously committed to partnering with multilateral development institutions to achieve aspirations that protect and restore the dignity of the human person. I'm also glad the ILO and UNICEF will be partnering with the state government towards the successful delivery of the SUSI project. Your partnership will certainly boost stakeholders' confidence in the project and offer our people a platform to learn and grow their capacities by interacting and working closely with your respective teams. This collaboration and envisage will provide immense benefits to the state beyond just developing the structural and the institutional capacity.
Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, the European Union ambassador to Nigeria, as well as a representative of the United Nations Children's Fund, reiterate the commitment to supporting social inclusion initiatives in the state while highlighting the importance of policy and legal framework in sustaining social protection efforts.
But our partnership with Abia State goes beyond social protection. We are implementing together the Solo for Health project, a 2.6 million euros initiative to power healthcare facilities with solar energy. We also partner in the EU-funded small hydropower development for agro-industry use in Nigeria, and also Abia State benefits from the EU-funded rule of law and anti-corruption program. And through this program in particular, we are working to strengthen rule of law, access to justice and accountability. And we should also soon inaugurate the first sexual assault reference center in Abia State.
We want the best for Nigerian children, where Nigeria stands as an example in West Africa and on the continent, where every child is protected, every family is supported, and every community is empowered. So together we can make this happen and we can make history.
Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's cocoa export is gaining momentum, drawing optimism from key industry voices. Amongst them is founder of the International Cocoa Diplomacy, Dokun Thompson, who hails the development as a step in the right direction. He stressed that while challenges persist across the value chain, they are not insurmountable and can be addressed with the right policies and collaboration.
Possibly even 20% that you've said. So that needs to be defined, properly defined, because when you harvest cocoa, you need to ferment it, you need to dry it, then you need to bag it. So what percentage is that? And that's the primary processing. And then when you look at the secondary processing, which is converting it into industrial or secondary products like cocoa butter, cocoa liquor or cocoa mass, and cocoa powder. That's a different ballgame before you now convert to end products like chocolates or even derivatives for cosmetics or pharmaceuticals. So that's now a different thing, and that's towards the end, towards when it's been. But at every stage, there's consumption opportunities. But beyond that, there are also what I call the byproducts of cocoa or the byproducts of the agricultural industry. You know, we have the tourism opportunities, we have entertainment, we have the media, the film industry, we have merchandising. There's several areas that can be locked into cocoa industry to actually unlock that value.
The Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, says the country now has the capacity to produce 2 million crude oil barrels per day. In a statement released on Wednesday, the NUPRC explained that the figure is still 200,000 barrels short of the 2.2 million targeted by the federal government in 2025 budget parameters. The commission also mentioned that it's working with industry operators, local and international service providers, rig owners, and other stakeholders in order to fully unlock the output potential. Bilateral trade relations between Nigeria and the United States of America climbed to nearly $13 billion last year, and this is according to the U.S. Consul General in Lagos, Rick Swart. Speaking at an event in the country's commercial capital, the U.S. Consul General says advancement in the business relationship with Nigeria, which is the second largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa, speaks volumes of the partnership between the two countries. The U.S. Consul General also mentioned that the Trump administration had doubled down on foreign trade and commercial diplomacy with the goal to increase U.S. exports and investments. According to him, African nations, especially Nigeria, are playing important roles for the U.S. government in reaching this opportunity. Outside our business shores, Ghana's Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, is set to hike tariffs for all electricity consumers. A statement from the PURC says the regulator will raise the tariff by 1.14% with effect from October the 1st. In its latest review, the Commission says the upward adjustment is necessary to ensure the sustainability of power supply and balance the interests of consumers and utility service providers. Meanwhile, the Regulatory Commission says water tariff will remain unchanged for the period. And that's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.